happy Tap Tuesday. So I wanted to talk about something today that involves the studio you founded, Autistic Wings Dance Company, tap dance, autism, and our viewpoint on certain language that is used primarily from those outside the community, specifically adaptive classes and inclusive dance.
It's not called okay, at that point, that thing isn't dance, it's just, "Hey, your five-year-old thought no. Your one-year-old thought it could walk. It cannot walk. It is adorably tripping multiple times, and then you realize, "Oh, um, it can't walk. You might wanna wait until you're 2." Except at this point, the children are walking, the adults just well, that or if you're the or if you're a dog who decided after a child popped its hip that you shouldn't allow it to walk even though the child never said they can't walk.
We explain to our audience who may not know what adaptive dance is, what adaptive dance is.
It's called greedy. People being greedy and as greedy as
No. Let's explain it from their viewpoint. Do you want me to do this so that you don't sound like a jerk?
yeah, why are you asking the teenage female child to do this?
Okay, we're going to try this way.
Why
All right.
ask the teenage 14-year-old female child to do this?
Point. Okay, so for those of you in our audience who don't know what adaptive dance is, it is dance that is quote unquote adapted to autistic dancers. And it is specifically not ballet, it's not jazz, it's not hip hop, it's more of a creative movement class. But one of the problems with it is
It's more like a blob.
a lot of the problem is the adaptive classes are skewed towards level 1, low support needs autistic dancers who do not need who need you are distracting me. I'm gonna have to start again. Yes, well, okay. You're over there talking. Adaptive dance classes are I'm catching you in my mic, I have a feeling. Adaptive classes are classes designed that are like mostly creative movement. These are not ballet, these are not jazz, these are not hip hop, these are not tap classes. They're creative movement classes based off the idea that autistic dancers like Leta, like me, can't do dance. If we can't fit into a traditional dance class, we must fit into this creative movement. And it is watered down dance that is not taught by those who understand autism. Unfortunately, it was not designed by those who understand autism. Unfortunately, it is also in large class sizes for autistic programs, not necessarily for the studios. The studios may have 20, 30 kids per class. And in their adaptive class, they only have 10 to 20. But that is huge for an autistic activity, is it not, Lita?
Okay, that's huge for any. That's huge for any. That's just huge for any overall.
One of the things with adaptive dance is as much as the people putting this on wanting to adapt or be adapted to the autistic people, because they are not within the community, a lot of times they don't understand intrinsically. I love that look you're giving me. You can give it to the camera if you'd like to. Um, they don't understand intrinsically what we need as a community. Their idea is, okay, well, we turned the sound down, we turned the lights down, but you need to be verbal, you need to be potty trained, you need to not stim in class, you need to pay attention.
Okay, if this is supposed to be for autistic people, can they also just, I don't know, have their mouths taped shut? Also, before you say anything, I got threatened by teachers to have my mouth taped shut, so no, it isn't wrong for me to threaten that, because if the teachers did it to the 9-year-old, then now 14-year-old can do it to them.
All I was going to say is you're not saying that the autistic dancers need their mouth taped shut.
What? No, I meant the neurotypical mini poos.
But a lot of people within the autistic community, because it's not just autistic dance, that when you hear adaptive, you're like, no, what you mean is I need to adapt to what you're doing. And that's become a big controversial thing in the autistic community. I know a lot of neurotypical parents love the adaptive classes and love the inclusive
And
classes.
their children will be scarred.
A whole nother discussion on the fact that it turns out we get PTSD a lot easier and, have trauma-induced symptoms from just being in a neurotypical
They will
situation.
all probably not like the Nutcracker.
So that's a whole different episode that needs to come up on how I don't think a lot of dance studios are reading the current papers on trauma and autistic people and how we can get compact or compound PTSD from just being in a neurotypical setting because it turns out it's such an aggressive environment towards us. That aside, back to adaptive dance. Because of the fact that you really need to adapt to what they think autism is, a
Eh.
lot of people in the community, oh, Jack just came running down and almost hit a sleeping Villa. A lot of people in the community feel that adaptive dance is not meant for autistic dancers, which is one of the reasons we don't use the term adaptive dance at Autistic Wings. Like, it is probably the number one thing I hear right after people go, "Hi, my damn, hey Lita, welcome to Tap Tuesday. We are recording this before whatever is coming out of the White House." I don't know what's coming out of the White House about autism. I'm not sure I want to know what's coming out of about the autism and stuff. You're screaming into a pillow. But that is a discussion for a totally different day. Today, we are going to discuss dance and adaptive dance and inclusive dance, which is also going to get you just as annoyed.
I'm just gonna keep the pillow on hand. Wait, wish I had a human being to scream into? Yes. Do I? No. No, no, no. No, I don't. No, I don't. But when I do, you don't will know I will scream into them.
Try
But
to
for
use
now,
You keep getting mad when I go, Lita, come over here so I can use your shoulder to scream into. You keep saying just grab a pillow.
yes.
Can
'Cause
we get
look,
into the discussion for
I
today?
don't got big enough shoulders for you to scream into.
Could we pretty please get into today's discussion without all the screaming? If need be, Jack Elvis, the Pitbull Staffy mix is in the studio, so we can always push him towards whichever one of us needs the emotional support. Unfortunately, he is not an ESL or an emotional support animal. ESA, sorry, I said
Just
ESL.
a tad
ESA.
off.
Yes.
On with it.
So, one thing we keep being asked at Autistic Wings that I will die on this hill is why we do not offer adaptive dance.
Scar your children and be we on. We don't have severe complex.
Okay, first off, we probably need to. Most of the audience doesn't know what adaptive dance is, I'm going to guess. And even if they're in the dance world, what they see as adaptive dance is different than what we see as adaptive dance. It's one of those things where the same thing being seen from two different sides looks completely different, does it not? That was a question to you.
Okay, on this one, I'm pretty sure it's not. Oh yeah, it is two different sides on this one. Is it? Wait, is it completely? Wait,
It is.
I. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, what dance studios mean when they're talking adaptive dance is, and we'll get into inclusion later on in the episode because this is two sides of the same coin on this one. But when they say we have adaptive dance, what they're talking about is a creative movement only type dance for kids with autism. It's in classes that are outside the therapy, standard therapy norm for autistic activities, which are 1 to 4, they have it at 8 to 10. If there's not 8 kids, they will cancel the class. 8 is like double the therapeutic guidelines on group activities, especially for younger kids. And it is set up with the idea that autistic kids cannot learn to dance. But caveat here, they need it to be level 1 autistic kids because you need to be able to communicate with your teacher verbally. You need to be able, and that does not include sign language, American Sign. That does not include ACC devices. That includes you using your words to communicate with the teachers. A lot of these classes also involve no stimming. You have to pay attention and stay still for the entirety of the 45-minute to hour-long
So you
class.
want a neurotypical child? So you want a neurotypical ass child? So you want
So that is
so
a
you want the other ape? Not this ape. The other ape. The other ape. The over there on the other side of the street. Wait, no, I take that back. Continent ape.
So I think that's a thing that I don't think a lot of studios understand is that they need kids who
Also,
can I finish what all? Because I have not gotten through the requirements.
You can
Your
finish.
child needs to be potty trained. Your child needs to be able to not have a meltdown. Your child needs to you're screaming into a pillow. Um, your child needs to be able to adapt to the class. It leads to a lot of people within the autism community saying things like, "This isn't adaptive dance," and it's not just adaptive dance, it's adaptive, um, activities. Mm, you start saying, "Oh, it means I have to adapt to that," which is not what we do at Autistic Wings. We do something totally different. Now you may discuss what you feel about adaptive dance now that I've described it to everyone.
Okay, so first off, Savior complex. Secondly, the complex of Scrooge before he got visited by the three ghosts. Even more Savior complex, and more Savior complex, and more Savior complex, and more, just put more and more and more and more Savior complex in. They're also add the most annoying voices on the planet Earth. Also add too much happy, unhumanly happy, unfreaking humanly happy as an alien that decided to sneak into the planet and decide if I'm overly unhuman like not think I'm not human while everyone's going, why are you so happy about my dog just died? Why are you happy? Why are you trying to help me emotionally while being happy? That's unhuman. You are unhuman. I am running.
I think there's a lot to so unpacking what you're saying for neurotypical audience members. I think there is a lot to be said, um, for the fact that this is not set up for autistic people. This is set up with the idea of autistic people, but it's not set up with the mindset of this is what they need. It hasn't been the people putting this together. I still think they have big hearts. I think they do want to help. I also think they see autism differently than the autistic community sees it. They see it as a and this is where we'll get into inclusive in a little bit, but they see it as something that needs to be overcome, where you and I and a lot of people we know within the community see it as just a part.
Live. I'm alive. Still alive. Really, the only thing I need to overcome is your ass. Still alive, still living. How am I living? I don't know. I somehow am alive. How am I not dead? I don't know. I keep almost dying. Not by like any maybe die reasons, but more like I stupidly decided to touch the instead of how we made electricity. Dumb ways to die every single day. How am I still alive when I keep doing dumb ways to die?
Can we get back specifically? But no, I mean, there's a lot of things like we were at an event this weekend, Vision for Autism Colorado's carnival and fair. And he just some people were coming up to me and things that we just see as a necessity for like Autistic Wings, where we have a theater space where we can safely have our level 2 and level 3 medium and high support needs dancers in. Their response was, "Oh, well, I mean, you can just train them to behave." And you and I are sitting there going, "Do you understand how absolutely unsafe the backstage is for a neurotypical person? Why don't we just make a safe area that we can control?" Um, I mean, this is getting into the weeds here, but yeah, we had to do a big stretch. The pity had to do a big stretch. And you cannot have a big stretch without mentioning the pity did a big stretch. That's just puppy abuse. Or I do not love him anymore. Your choice. Anywho's, um, like Jacob's ladder or Jacob's pillow, out in Maryland did yeah, they had a OSHA incident this summer. Our new dance instructor, Anna, came with she told a bunch of kids not to do something. She's got a brace on her foot because she twisted her ankle backstage. Backstage is not a safe space to be if you are level 1 high functioning or, neurotypical. It is definitely not a safe space if you are level 3 and you elope. So
That's
maybe, just
why
maybe,
Phantom of the Opera was made to emphasize how unsafe it is. Except they made it into a person and not just the whole fuck thing. They made it into just a human being with a mask. And the mask is what you don't see behind the scenes of everyone trying not to do dumb ways to die because nobody thought about safety. Dumb ways to die. The most
This is
dumbest
okay.
ways to
So
die.
when you were at Michelle's Dance Academy and you were dancing with Las Cruces Chamber Ballet, um, we were on they were doing Nutcracker and literally the backdrop hit Sugar Plum Fairy in the head. I mean, these are not safe places a lot of
Sugar
times.
Plum's Fairy still alive. Sugar Plum Fairy still alive. I would just like to mention she is still alive. Still alive. Still breathing. Made to the end of the show somehow. She apparently did want to not.
Yes. Can I finish this real quick? But no, I mean, and there were no safety violations in that one. It was just rigging went bad. Um, You're going bloop, bloop, bloop. For people watching on YouTube, you have hidden yourself behind a pillow. But this is what I'm saying on things that I think people don't understand, especially parents of autistic kids who are neurotypical, who've never been backstage before. Backstage is not safe when you're neurotypical. And you're asking me to adapt backstage for no, I don't need to adapt backstage. I need to totally redesign backstage. That is not adaptive dance. That is redesigned dance because I need to have a backstage that is, clear of like rigging on the floor. Because you've been backstage. How many times are you like jumping over rigging in darkness?
Just say somehow I am the only child in any studio I have gone to who hasn't gotten an injury from backstage and hasn't from backstage. And hasn't gained a severe injury from backstage. And ends. But right here,
It
couch,
sounds
nothing. 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 In my
insane,
head, nothing.
but it is true. I mean, backstage is not a safe place to be. A lot of times, the dance studio, especially near recital time, with all the costumes out and all the props out, and like you can't get through what you call it hallways at the studio. And if you've got comp teams and you're bringing in those props, or even just props from the stage, I mean, it makes the dance studio fun to be at. And parents are like, "Oh, well, we just teach our kids," and I'm like, "Or." Fun fact, hop at this. I don't feel like teaching a bunch of 5, 6, 7-year-olds how to stay safe backstage because you know what's easier to do is just redesign backstage the way we need it for autistic dancers and lo and behold, make it a little safer.
Wait, I got a thing. You design it so nobody might gain a severe death-making injury. And design it where you can prevent anyone from that.
But that's not a but that is not adaptive. That is called a total redesign. When we're talking adaptive
Neurotypical people
dance,
are weird.
when we are talking adaptive dance, we are talking one, most adaptive dance classes will never be able to perform a recital because the studios are like, it's not safe to take them, which they're right. I'm not disagreeing with that, but that puts dance as real dance is only for those special kids.
Okay, it's not safe to take any child backstage or let alone an adult. Actually, no, I take that back. Say an adult, which would be none of the adults backstage. None of them because they took the job they took, and it's definitely not really the most thinking I should not take a job that might kill me. So I think that's me back about saying adults.
That also goes into your inclusive stuff there because adaptive and inclusive are the same side of the coin because everyone's like, oh, we're inclusive, but like you with your dyslexia, the number one thing, like you need someone to tell you where you are in the call to stage sheet. And you have often been told, well, just read it. And you're like, hi, I have severe dyslexia. I need an accommodation here, and their accommodation is you need to learn how to not have dyslexia.
Okay, so by the way, I did not just suddenly out of the blue not have dyslexia anymore because of that. But I did learn how to fend for myself backstage. I did learn how to be lone wolf fending for myself, trying to live by myself. It's kind of
Talking
like trying to live by yourself in the desert. It's easy.
but we're not talking you doing it at your age now at 14. We're talking 6, 7, 8, 9 and you
Like,
doing it.
no. Because at 6 and 7, I was at Michelle's, and they actually gave a damn. Also, the teenagers were, like, protecting me,
Get
like,
Aegis
at all
stage.
costs.
But it was the kids a lot of times or the dance parents around you doing it. What I'm saying is a lot of times that inclusive thing is you are supposed to be inclusive to the neurotypical. You're shouting in a pillow again. But this is why it's the same you're shouting in a pillow. You've taken an entire actually, it's not even a pillow, it's a cushion. For those of you who are listening to this on any of the streaming services, you have taken the sofa cushion that you film on where we record downstairs and you film on the sofa cushion, and you have taken that and you are screaming into that. Um, no, but what I'm trying to nicely say is a lot because that's the other thing. I don't like calling autistic wings inclusive. We're not inclusive. We are exactly opposite of inclusive. We are for autistic dancers only. We have designed the studio for autistic dancers only. Let's be honest, other studios have designed their studios for neurotypical dancers. Um, but one of the things I think a lot of dance studios don't understand is it does hurt, but I think they do think it's inclusive. I think they think it's inclusive to, well, we put it up on the wall so Lita could read it.
Whatever Squid Games is. That's literally just the whole entire shebang of being autistic, whatever Squid Games is. Just the whole entire shebang of being autistic and having an autistic life. Not when you're out of your house alone, but no, when you're in the world that's more made to kill you than to live in. That's just more made to see how the next how you're gonna snap the next time you snap.
No, that's one of the
Break
things
like
that
a twig. How none of us be breaking like a twig.
the number of parents that did come up to us on Saturday to talk about the studio, and they're like, "We've tried adaptive dance before. My child can't fit into adaptive dance. My child is still wearing diapers at 6 or 7." Guess what? Hi, have you
They're
read the
6 and 7, I would expect nonetheless. They're 6 and 7, they're still bubbies.
Well, your thing is a lot of these parents aren't read up on the different studies, and if they are, they're getting their information from therapists who aren't reading, the urology studies that are coming out about autistic bladders maturing later, like literally maturing later, and they're asking their kids to do something they physically can't do, and then the dance studio is like, well, our adaptive dance doesn't adapt to kids in diapers.
Yes. And yet you keep telling people with either missing leg to unmiss that leg, or people who can't walk because of multiple lists of reasons to walk. So, yeah, I wish your ableism was just towards one thing and not the whole shebang.
I did have a friend who's in a wheelchair, and she was taking a dance class, and her dance teacher told her she needed to be able to stand up to pirouette.
Okay, why do you think it's using the wheelchair 24/7?
He felt that if she tried hard enough, she could stand up, which I think is a
I
problem
feel
with.
like if I slap you, knock out one of your teeth, you can just miraculously grow. Just saying. But then we could just. I don't know. Put you in the. Just put you in the hole, and then
Lita,
you have
Lita,
no
but
tools to get
can
out of the
can
hole.
I finish my thought process here before you go completely crazy on this one? I think that's one of the problems with adaptive dance treats autistic kids who are your age like they're babies, and who are yours and my level of autism like you're a baby. It teaches kids like Spencer like he's a baby, because we do not do adaptive dance for Spencer. We adapted the dance to Spencer, not the other way around. By the way, we're going to link to a video of Spencer's mom chit-chatting about, stuff, and she's coming on the, podcast. It's the only reason I can use his name. But on the inclusive side, the same thing. How many times have you or I heard, not just from you, I heard it too all the time growing up. If you allow yourself to have limitations with your autism, those actual limitations that actually exist, that you will never know how far you will go.
Yes, and if a zombie apocalypse happens and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm the smarter person, actually, I don't know, survive the zombies, and you bang me to let you in. Yeah, I'm petty. I'm gonna be petty. I'm gonna be petty.
Discuss this because you have had this happen at dance studios, and I've had this happen other places where you're like, I need these accommodations. They look at the accommodations and go, that means you will never, if I give you these accommodations, Lita, you will never understand. You are more than your autism and you can go further than this.
Yes, and I haven't popped off at one of you yet, and yet you think I like you. Not my mom. I meant the person she was pretending to be. I love my mom.
I know it's not me. But no, I think we've all had that within anyone who says, "Hey, guessy whaty, you, the person who is doing X or who's autistic, you have to fit into this adaptive class. You have to fit into the adaptive class. In the inclusive classes, you have to be we're going to allow you in here as long as you don't have any limitations with your autism, as long as you don't act autistic, as long as you don't do things like not want to look people in the eye, uh, as long as you don't have an auditory processor disorder, as long as you don't have dyslexia that's so severe it interferes with you reading and interferes with you learning how to do pirouettes and everything else. As long as you're willing to overcome all of that, then you can come be in the inclusive class. And as long as you have no limitations, as long as you're willing to not let autism be an actual disability, which it is a disability, you're more than welcome to come into our inclusive class.
Jurassic, we're just gonna drop you off in the raptor cage. Fun with raptors. Have fun with the things that are the same level of intelligence as me. Have fun with those things and see how stupid those are. See how stupid those are. Yeah. Have fun with raptors. See how definitely not smart those are. See how not smart the speeds that can't read are. Have fun with raptors. Also can't write. Just saying, can't read, can't write, can't do most of that stuff you listen, yet is a smart predator. So, have fun with raptors.
Well, that was another big stretch from the Quinky thing who's like, but there's a kitty who's wanting to become my new chew toy.
Also,
Um,
probably have
Jack
fun
is
with
having
the
fun today.
ceratopsis, where you feed them nice and friendly. If you touch the baby, they darn well know you're gonna touch that baby.
Let's also be honest here on dance classes and a lot of activities. You have two options really in life. You can either go to the adaptive class where they are going to dumb everything down like you have the mentality of a 3-year-old, which you do not. Or you can go to the inclusive class where they're going to say all the pretty nice words that sound great to the neurotypical world and make you go, I hate your guts. Those are really your two options when it comes to inclusive and adaptive.
Yeah, I would much rather the thing that whatever Squid Games is. I'm pretty sure it's just like Squid Games. Whatever that is.
Okay, you have never seen Squid Games, so
I've
but
heard
there,
about it.
I just want to make it clear that that's also an autistic trait that you can hear about everything on social media and through
No, I've heard
things.
it by adults I know.
Fine. Autism is really good at taking all this and acting as though you've actually seen it because you take all the information you've been given and you don't actually have to see the property to be able to tell people about it, pretty much.
I hear everything. I am a ghost. I hear everything. They never hear
Well, but
me.
that's one thing that, like, I used to get in trouble for as a kid because I could see all the previews for a movie and I could tell you everything about the movie to the point people thought I went to the movie. And my parents were like, you didn't go to the movie. And I'm like, but I know all about the movie. I saw all the previews. I read all the reviews in the newspaper. I can now tell you the movie. And this is another thing that inclusive dance and adaptive dance doesn't take into account. Our brains work differently. We will sit there and you've heard all these adults talk about Squid Games. So you know what Squid Games is. You don't need to watch it.
I can also tell you that I accidentally stumbled upon a video talking about the original story about Beauty and the Beast and realized the story Beast was 16, turned into a beast when he was 8, and that fairy was weird and had issues. I'm sorry. Apparently, the 8-year-old should tell the random full-grown don't know what it wants to do as the 8-year-old woman. Please leave my house. Also, apparently, in the decade when where the beast was born. You didn't live with your parents at 8. Also, he saw his mom. The last time he saw his mom, she was dying and was on her deathbed and then died. I feel bad for the original beast. He was 16 and she was 19, and he was a 16-year-old boy who never saw a female that wasn't part of the staff a day in his life. So yeah, high pheromones, high as hell pheromones.
Also, everyone tends to say Belle had Stockholm syndrome, but, let's be honest.
Okay. Gaston admitted he looked in more than one window, and he never said when he stopped looking in the windows. Also, he went to go propose to the woman and then drag her to the wedding on next moment when she was obviously not into him. Well, he was obviously stalking her.
And we'll get back to what a topic, because this is Autism or Us. I think a lot of people don't understand about the story is they think Beast is in his like 30s or 40s,
No, he
and they
was
think he's a
16. He was a 16-year-old teenage boy.
an 8-year-old when all that started. At least with Disney, they upped it to his 21st birthday, but people still, I think, somehow misunderstood. That last petal is falling on his 21st birthday. Guy's still a child in this whole thing.
Yeah. And yet, Belle's still 19. Also, Gaston is 40.
To the actual discussion here of things that neurotypical people don't expect you to do in a dance studio. This is one of them, because this is not considered neurotypical. This is definitely very neurodivergent what you're doing right now. The tangents are so
Gaston?
neurodivergent.
39 going on 40?
But we're discussing.
Also, I don't know why everybody keeps singing his sweet little sidekick is... Actually, no, I take that back. I completely and totally understand why they think his sweet little sidekick is gay.
Get back on topic here. Can we get back on topic, please? Just, I know you were like, hey, let me show you why I can't go into an inclusive dance studio because I do things like this. And in my dance studio, I'm allowed to do things like this. And that's one of the things that, like, but back to parents were like, I've tried adaptive dance. I've tried inclusive dance. It doesn't work. And when I'm sitting there going, like, they're going, my child doesn't do well in large classes. Great. Our class size stops at 4. And we do not have a single class outside of any adult class that gets to 4. We had parents going, my child doesn't communicate right. Almost.
Victim of everything except his love interest, which is kind of still weird since Belle was 19 and he was 16, and the age gap. I know I shouldn't be weirded out by the age gap, but still the 17, 18 in between.
That time frame, him being only in France would that have been a good thing, because a male should not be actually getting married until he's in his 20s. Um, Anywho's back to, but it was things like also, my child stims. They're going to stim in class. We're a we're the exact opposite of a stim-free zone. It is a stimming zone. I definitely have ADHD. I can tell you our head of our dance program kind of gets annoyed some days because there's also a rectangle on taped out on the ground that our darling studio we're in on the break dance academy has on there. So I paste the outline of the rectangle, sometimes the outline of the little square in between, but I will talk and paste the outline of the rectangle because that is what I do. This is how I work. And we just kind of roll with it. And if we're rolling with it for the 44-year-old CEO, we're going to roll with it for your 6-year-old child or your 4-year-old child. That's just a thing we're going to do. Right, Leta? Why are you not here? You are part of this podcast. You are hiding behind a thing. No, but like even you have your eccentricities. One mom was like, my child can't do tights.
Burn it in a freaking volcano. Just find a volcano with no volcano god that you can't upset and just throw it in the volcano. Actually, maybe just take all the tights in the world, throw it into a volcano. Also, maybe throw the leotard into a volcano too. Actually, no, just throw the entire Spain into a volcano. And please, also those also the nets for the bun, just throw them into a volcano. I hate those things.
I don't know, Leta. Do you like tights?
You know what? It's better. Actually, I take that back. Better option.
Okay. But no, like, they had gone to an adaptive dance studio or an adaptive dance class where her child had to wear leotards and tights, even though her child had a
Then Ben put that building in hell.
but there's a lot of adaptive dance classes who still have you need to wear our dance studio uniform, and if that's
Thank you.
tights I mean, all-inclusive classes, you have to wear what they've told you to wear, even though, like you, Lord forbid I put you in pants. It could be a blizzard out, it could be the Arctic freeze out, and I'm like, "Lita, could you just wear pants from the house to the car and into the studio, and then once the heat turns on, you can, I don't know, get into your shorts again," and you're like, "I'll just wear my shorts out in negative 20-degree weather because that is you. So fine." But I mean, how many times did dance studios say, "This is a uniform. I would put you in the uniform," and they're like, "She seems uncomfortable."
You abuse it, that animal abuse. I know this doesn't count as abuse. It should. I know it doesn't. It should.
If you're going to push that
Except
you
most of these people are an animal uses, so
putting it out there that you are inclusive, that means you have to understand that sensory is more than just light and sound. It is not just light and sound. And even with the inclusive dances, then you have to be okay with the lights and the sounds at the deal they are. Um, but it and the adaptive classes, you have to be okay. They're like, "Oh, well, we turn down the lights." Yeah, but they're still fluorescent and I can still hear them. Did you know neurotypical people can't hear fluorescent lights?
okay. I didn't think I should tell you this, but I might be a weird autistic person because I can't either.
Oh, you are slightly weird. It's okay.
Hmm, hmm,
They
hmm.
don't annoy you to
Uh,
no end though? Like,
I can't hear them.
does the light itself, like the free
Like the computer, like the computer makes noise. Like I hear the computer and like the like the camera make noise. I don't hear the lights make noise.
it's okay. Do you have
Okay, I didn't think I would admit this because I was scared you were gonna say maybe I'm neurotypical. I'm
No,
scared.
you are not neurotypical. I have heard it's like 10% of autistic people can't hear the noise. But here, got another question for you on the fluorescent lighting. Does the fluorescent lighting bother you though?
Oh yeah, it burns my ass.
See, still neurodivergent.
Like my eyelids are paler than the rest of my body, so therefore the lights just burn my eyeballs. Like some way my eyelids are paler than the rest of my body.
You don't
You
look
know where my eyes are. You know where my eyes are. With the things you would think with at least not so pale skin has pale skin. I think the world decided to hate me.
I think that's one of those things that, like, the adaptive dances, you're still doing it in fluorescent lighting. It is there are some lights that I can handle. Fluorescent lights between the light annoys my eyes and the light makes sounds, is a problem. There are certain speakers that I think we all just hate, and it depends on your who you are, which speaker you're like, "That company I cannot handle because it makes noise," and you don't hear the noise, but the inner workings of the speaker are making too many noises for me. Um, it is things like, "Lord, please do not put perfume on or spray a lot of incense smelly stuff in your studio."
I was more thinking, please make it where there are no scented candles, and if it has to be a scented candle, can at least be scented cinnamon, or I don't know it.
There's a lot of that you and I just automatically think, of there's a lot of other things like the elopement, a lot of the adaptive dance. If you elope, you can't be in the adaptive dance. If you can't sit in class by yourself without your mom there or your dad there helping, you can't be in adaptive dance. If you need
If
your
you're
parent,
sassy,
I saw someone else that we know post on socials that they don't take attitude from their dancers. And with autistic people, it's not an attitude. We're trying to tell you something's wrong. And if you're not listening, then we quit liking you fairly quickly.
no, whether it's attitude really from the other children either, because there's just a thing with dance teachers and going, if you talk to me, it's attitude. If you breathe, it's attitude. If you live, it's attitude. If you cough, it's attitude. If you sneeze, it's attitude. If your hands in your face and you're moving your hair away from your face because you accidentally forgot to put your hair up, it's attitude. If you cut a piece of your hair because there was glue in it and you didn't realize there was glue in it until it was dried, and you decided to not even try to brush the dry glue out, it's attitude. If you blink, it's attitude.
You're not smiling properly. It must be attitude.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just endlessly smile. Okay, okay. Clowns scare me. You scare me. Clowns scare me because they're endlessly happy and apparently have no other emotions. You scare me because you're unhumanly happy. Alien, you are alien. I am sure you are alien.
You are not talking about me, just in case
What?
anyone's
No, why
wondering.
would I be talking about you? You are my mama. You are my mama. I love you. You are my mama.
And
Also,
with
you are also freaking autistic, so why would I be talking about you? You also know that it's unhuman to be happy 24/7.
can
Your
say with
dog died, they happy. One of your friends died, they happy. You really almost died and almost had a death experience, they happy. Unhuman.
what I was going to
Alien.
say, what I was going to say is that some of us, i.e., me, have been a little stressed over finances for the nonprofit because, again, we are short as per usual at the end of the month because we need a bigger studio so that we can bring in more students so that we have a smaller gap. But right now, we need to raise $5,000 in order to 5,000 in monthly donations in order to have that larger studio. However, due to the fact that we only have a small studio space, we have a small student body to raise that from, and people are like, "Well, you don't have the big student body," and because we don't have the big student body, it cost us about $1,256 a month to put on a class. For like Spencer's class or for pre-ballet, it's $1,256 a month. For tap, it's $1,256 a month. Each class is $1,256 a month, which means most of our students should be paying for Spencer, $1,256 a month. That is well outside his parents' budget. For most of our other kids, they need to be paying about $300 a month because we have such few classes we can have because we're in with on the Break Dance Academy and we can't have everyone doing everything in the same time in the same small studio space. And we found a studio space that could work, but I need $5,000 just to make rent every month. And that's not happening right now. So unless something goes viral and we get money, which then stresses me out at the end of the month, which means I am like Crazyville at the moment.
Thing on dance teachers thinking A, I'm pretty sure they're God, and B, thinking everything's attitude. You are not a teenager, that you are 9 and dancing with the teenagers, and that you have no such thing as a SAT because you are 9. Also telling them how they are so wrong about how your culture works because they're just weird.
Let's get back to finishing this up. But no, I think there's a difference. I think that's why I am so everything we've talked about with adaptive dance and inclusive activities. I think that's something that within the autistic community has been really big. I know that's something I've been trying to tell some of our other autistic friends. We're not doing adaptive dance. We've just adapted the dance to the students. Um, but I think it's made it where I don't want to use the word adaptive. What about you, kiddo? Lita, podcast. You're out of emotions. Well, I need you to finish for 5 whole minutes with emotions. Do you have a problem with the words adaptive and inclusive when it comes to dance?
Those are using that word wrong.
But if someone told you that they were doing adaptive dance classes, what would you think the dance class meant?
Just put you out in the wild with predators that want to eat you. You're
When people say our dance studio is inclusive, do you believe that statement?
cage. Cage or death. Death cage. Death ring.
Would you use adaptive or inclusive to describe autistic wings?
Well, I would not want people thinking that we're a ring of death, so no, I would not want people thinking we're putting them in the afterlife.
That's my question because people have within the neurotypical community or within the autism support communities as autism moms gone, why aren't you inclusive? Why aren't you adaptive? As someone who's autistic, do you trust a class that says it's adaptive or that's autistic or inclusive?
Trust that I go to the afterlife afterwards. I trust that I'm gonna go to the afterlife and meet my ancestors.
That's why we do not use adaptive and
They are
inclusive.
also probably gonna ask me, child, why did you run when you heard those words?
That is why we don't use adaptive and inclusive. Is you have the same opinion I have. A lot of our families have been kicked out of adaptive and inclusive dance environments, um, because we are coming up on things. I'm going to put the in the description. We will put the link for Autistic Wings Dance Companies. You went bye bye on me. You dropped your mic and it started a new recording track. Edit this part here. Um, but that's one of the reasons Autistic Wings needs funding too, is because we have a difference of opinion on how to do things. We have 1 to 4 kids per class. We adapt the dance to the students. We are trying to get 3 videos to go viral this year. Viral in the eye of the beholder. I am going to link to the TikTok/YouTube short of Spencer's mom talking about why she loves Autistic Wings in the description below. I'm going to link to our donation site and I'm going to link to our studio site. If you are in Colorado Springs, we do have openings for a few of the classes. Sign up Mondays. If you don't sign up, we're not there because there's no one signed up for Mondays. So we just kind of don't go hang out at the studio. Um, Saturdays, we've got a few openings left. If you have the ability to donate, please, 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 even if you see this later, trust me, the studio is a nonprofit, is always going to need money. And we are doing a party for Autistic Wings. If you hear this before October 31st, 2025, we are doing a party for Autistic Wings at Top Golf on November 9th. Drop dead date for registrations, October 31st, because I have to have it in November 1st to them on what our final count is, because we're on a Sunday. We have to have it in 9 days in advance. Colorado Gives is coming up, so you're going to see us revving up both Leta's socials and over on Instagram at Leta Tap Styles, and you're going to see us revving up Autistic Wings socials to get everyone excited about donating. There's a $1 million purse. Yes, I do not call it a purse, but it's $1 million purse. There are prizes for the nonprofit that raises the most money. There's prizes for the nonprofit who has people who answer trivia right. During December 10th Power Hour, there are prizes for nonprofits who raise the most money during the Power Hour. There is also going to be prizes from Southwest for donors during that time period. Oh, and yeah, and the 1st to the 9th of November, if you're a small business or any business in Colorado, get involved in Good Business Week. There's uh, Delta Dental is sponsoring a $1,000 prize for your favorite nonprofit as a business if you raise more money than everyone else. Yes, Lita?
You get a duck,
No, but if you come to party for Autistic Wings, we are going to have rubber duckies in our swag bag.
so you don't get a live duck.
No live duck. But information for our giving sites will be down in the description below. It is on our website, letatapstyles.com. November 11th, we're going to try and get another video to go viral. You are dropping your golf inspired tap video. We're going out to Antler Creek in a week, and they have said we can come borrow their golf course to film on their course. That's crazy. We're going to have to do an entire episode on that. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff if you enjoyed the episode. Boop a duck. We need to have an episode just based off of where the heck the Autistic Wings, everything's about the butterfly in our logo and all of our stuff. And then we have a rubber duck obsession at Autistic
We
Wings.
could just get a pygmy duck and use that as an excuse for loving it. You know, it's just,
Yeah, I don't
pygmy
think we
duck.
can have a duck at the
Love
camp.
a pygmy duck.
We would need to have our own space. That's a whole different thing. Jackie Poo's barking, saying it's almost time. All right. So Friday, we have Faith Jacobs on. She has written a book about Mozart, uh, faithfully yours, Mozart, I wanna say. Sorry, Faith, I think I got that wrong, but, you're gonna wanna hear it.
Got a doggy.
Kentucky.
He got a doggy.
It's a
She got a book about the
She's
doggy.
got a book about the doggy, yes. It's fun, exciting episode. Stay tuned for it. If you're watching listening on any of the podcast streaming services, don't forget to hit follow. Um, See you guys all on Friday. Have an amazing rest of your week.
Hello, thank you for watching the podcast, and please subscribe, and also look at the adorable paper. So if you want to subscribe for it, and also please leave a like, and don't forget, if you subscribe to our stuff, you won't miss any of our new podcast stuffies. And also, did you see the adorable paper? Don't you like it?